Hi guys, welcome to my channel Confessions of a Gaming Mum. So this is a bit of a different one to what I normally do. I decided that I wanted to actually do, as it says in the title, a weight loss journey vlog and playlist sort of thing, or series, I don't know what you'd call it. Basically, my fitness and my health and my diet have been quite a big part of my life, well, pretty much my whole life, whether or not in a good way or a bad way. When I go through stages like the stage that I am at the moment, where I'm in that weight loss mode, it becomes quite a big part of my life. And so rather than wasting time talking about it in my regular vlogs, I thought I'd actually put it in a separate vlog, so it'll be there for people who want to watch it if they want to either just hear my experiences, want to learn something new, or anything like that. It's also a way for me to hold myself accountable to make sure that I do actually stick to it and I actually see this through. What I'm actually trying to do, because I've yo-yo dieted pretty much my whole adult life, so I'm determined to make it that this diet, put in inverted commas, is not a diet but actually a new lifestyle change for myself. In terms of the exercises I'm doing, I'm enjoying, therefore I can keep them going as long as I'm able to, like I don't have any injuries or anything. Also, the food that I'm eating is food that I enjoy and food that I can actually eat day to day, not something that I'm literally only doing just to lose weight, because obviously we know as soon as you come off a diet that's really specific or really strict, you're just basically going to fall off the wagon again and you're going to end up where you were at the start, hence the term yo-yo dieting, and yet we still do it to ourselves. So yes, this is where I am right now. So I thought I'd give a little bit of background in terms of my own relationship with like food and, like I said, with my health and my fitness, just to sort of lead up to where I am now. Yeah, I thought that would just be a great way to start. It probably isn't, but you know, you can skip this video when I've done a few to actually see what you think. Might as well get started before I make this video about an hour long. As I said at the beginning of this video, I have always really struggled with my weight, and not per se in terms of that I've always sort of been up and down with my weight. It's more my self-image and how I see myself. I've never seen myself as slim. I've always seen myself as fat, even when I wasn't. Probably due to the fact that from basically the age of 5, I had a lot of friends that would basically call me fat and say that they didn't want to hang out with me because I was fat. Just like nasty little schoolgirl playground jibes that I would get, you know, like, because I used to hang around with all like the gymnastic crew and stuff, and they'd sort of in the summer roll up their tops to show off the midriff, and then I'd do the same because obviously they're all doing the like, put it away, it's just so fat. Like I said, I was about 6 or 7 at this time, so yeah, it's when you start receiving that sort of stuff at that age, it sticks with you. It shouldn't, but it does. So I've basically, up until college, I think I always would have some little jibe about how my stomach stuck out, or I just really boyish and stuff. Even though I had boobs, I was still seen as boyish and more broader than the other girls and stuff. But I never really sort of bothered with like trying to lose weight, and like when I was in school, like as a teenager, I never really dieted. I never really saw it as a thing. It never really sort of, I just kind of accepted the fact that I was fat and that was just how my life was going to be. But I think it kind of came to a head like when I was at university and I started eating the way that university students did, and I was pretty much allergic to exercise. I hated exercise, so I never really did anything like fitness wise, and that's when my metabolism obviously slowed down and I actually started gaining weight. But even then, it just wasn't a thing that I really bothered about. But at university, I never got the jibes, I never got the people telling me to lose weight or anything like that. So it was more like just a personal thing, like, look at the weight you've gained sort of thing, you need to do something about it. But like I said, I never really did. Yeah, it was only after moving in with my husband, obviously my boyfriend at the time, that I discovered pole fitness. There was a pole fitness class that was really local to us, and I thought, oh, that would be a laugh, see how I get on. I thought I needed to do some sort of exercise because I wanted to then diet as well, because my husband, when I met him, he was quite big and he lost a lot of weight very quickly, so it was kind of like I felt like maybe I should be losing weight as well, because like obviously we met, I was like okay with my weight, and then when we got together it was kind of like, yeah, we're both putting on weight because you fall into that sort of comfortable stage. So I was like, yeah, I want to get back down to a decent weight, or at least get into shape for the first time in my life. Hence, like I said, the pole classes came around at the perfect time. And that was the first time I actually really fell in love with exercise. Like, I absolutely just became obsessed with it. I absolutely loved it. I wasn't the best in the class. I've never had the flexibility. I did gymnastics, but I was crap at it. So like, I didn't have the flexibility, but I had the strength. And once I was able to get like the inversion, so I was able to do upside down moves and stuff, it just was my thing. I was able to, I might not be able to hold certain moves, and like I've always had a problem with like my wrist. Like, I wasn't able to hold my weight with that particular wrist, so there was some moves that I wasn't able to do with it. But like I said, I've been always able to hold myself, like with my core strength, hold myself up on the pole, do certain moves and stuff once I learned how to do it. And that's what I mean. I just became like addicted to the strength that I found that was growing, that I had mentally and physically because of doing pole. I loved the confidence it gave me, like the drive it gave me to sort of be able to nail that move that I couldn't exactly get in class. And like the burn, like you'd feel afterwards, like the pure muscle exhaustion you'd feel afterwards, and then the soreness in your muscles the day after, because you really knew that you had like a proper workout. And I absolutely just fell in love with that. And I think I did those classes for, I don't know if it was like 2 years or something. And then my pole teacher just disappeared. Like, no one really knew, like in terms of in the class, what happened to her. The classes just stopped. I got pretty lost after that. So not long after that, we got married. Me and my husband got married. It was trying to find something. I never really found anything after pole that really sort of gave me that confidence, or gave me that sort of that burn that I'd feel. I became a little obsessed with the Les Mills exercise, like weight training classes that they had going at the gym. My husband hated them, but I loved them because it was as close as I could get to pole. It wasn't as fun as pole, and it was really, really hard, but I was like, I need to feel that after feeling that I used to get with pole. But like I said, it just paled in comparison to what I used to get in the pole classes. So naturally, when the wedding came, like we both dieted and stuff, I managed to get down, I think, to about 145 pounds. I never really concentrated much on my weight before then. I always kind of saw like an even 10 stone as being what I would ideally like to get to, but it was always kind of that distance off. So I'm pretty sure I got down to about 145 for the wedding, but it just got to that point again. That was like my plateau. Like, no matter what I did, no matter how much I dieted, no matter how many classes I went to, no matter how much I ran on the treadmill at the gym, I could not get past that point. So I was just kind of like, well, that's just what I'm going to have to live with, basically. So we got married in Italy. Absolutely loved it. And the exercise kind of then just waned off a bit, in terms of my husband, again, hated the gym. I think it was just because of the stuff that I liked doing, and we did it together. It just weren't for him. So like, we stopped going to the gym because I didn't want to go on my own, and obviously my husband wasn't motivated enough to go. So it just kind of fell by the wayside. I wasn't confident enough to go running in our local area because it was quite uphill, and I wasn't familiar because we'd never spent time at home. We were always either in London or visiting my family or my husband's family and stuff. So we didn't really know the local area that well. So I was a bit apprehensive about running somewhere I didn't really know that well. So yeah, that never became a thing. So yeah, it kind of just fell by the wayside while we still lived in the area that we did. So we got married in 2015. So it was 2016 that we bought a house. And it was long, drawn out process, longer than it should have been. It was really stressful. So the last thing on my mind was exercise and dieting. But eventually, like we put an offer in on the house in January, and we didn't actually move into the house until I think it was end of July. I think it might have been. I think it was the end of July or beginning of July. Anyway, it was the summer, so it was over 6 months of stressing, not knowing whether or not we were actually going to get into the house at some point, because the people we were buying off were a complete nightmare. So yeah, we finally got into the house. I couldn't put my pole up, unfortunately, because I did actually have a pole when I was living back in our flat. But yeah, I didn't have the space to put it up in the new house, but I was like, that's fine, I'll find classes that are local maybe. We did have a local-ish gym, but not in like our town, so you had that as well, in terms of if we were going to go, it would have to be at the weekend, because where we live quite far out further out from our workplaces than we did before. Like before, it took us less than an hour to get, probably like 40 minutes if the trains were running, which was a very rare occurrence. But yeah, it was like a 40-minute journey to get into work. And now when we moved, it could take up to 2 hours, especially for me, because at the time I worked over the other side of London to where we were actually living, when before we lived on the right side of London. We also had the issue of the fact that I was made redundant as well, not long after buying the house. So if I wanted to join a gym, it was out of the question really until I actually found myself a job and stuff. So the 6 months that I was redundant, like I was out of a job, was me just basically concentrating on getting a job. And then when I finally found a job, again, it was in a part of London that was quite far out for me to get to. Just the job that I had was completely different to the job I had before, in terms of where before it was literally 9 to 5. As soon as I got to 5 o'clock, I literally stopped what I was doing and headed out the door. This job, it literally was, if I don't stay and finish this job, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to come back to tomorrow, and it's going to be even more stressful, and I'm going to be even more rushed. So it got to a point where I was getting in at the office at 8 o'clock and not finishing till 8 o'clock at night. So I was doing 12 hours like non-stop. I was sitting at my desk eating my lunch as well, my breakfast at my desk. Sometimes if I just needed to get out and get some air, I'd go for a walk on my lunch break, but it wouldn't be for long because I'd literally be thinking about, I need to get this done. I barely had a Christmas break. I was there 9 months and I felt like I didn't really have a Christmas break either. I just felt like I had no break whatsoever. Like I'd do stuff over the weekend and things. It just stressed me out so much. In the end, my husband said, look, you just have to leave. Just put in your notice and just walk away, because it's just stressing you out so much. So that's what I did. March 2018, I think I handed in my notice in February, but I left in March, and it was literally in that last week of working there that I actually found out I was pregnant. And it weren't until like the week after that I actually found out that I was 3 months pregnant, so I completely missed the first trimester. So it kind of gives you an idea in terms of where I was in terms of my thinking about how I looked and exercise and different things like that, because I'd always had in my mind that by the time I was pregnant, by the time I was able to start a family, I would be a regular gym goer. I'd be in really good shape so that I could keep that going while I was pregnant. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, like I said, as without a job, I was like, well, I can't sign up to the gym now. And also, being 3 months pregnant, I can't exactly start anything now that could actually risk harming the baby. So, like strength training that I was hoping to do, resistance training and different things like that, there's no way I would have been able to continue that or even start it. Like if I'd been doing it before I was pregnant, then that would have been fine, but there's no way I could have started it knowing that I was pregnant. So that kind of went out the window. And unfortunately I had that whole all or nothing attitude in terms of, well, if I can't keep fit, then I might as well just not bother like watching what I eat either. So I just ate whatever I wanted. If I had cravings, I'd indulge in them. I was like, I'm never going to really have this opportunity again to eat what I like and not have to care about it. So yeah, I did go pretty overboard, and I was absolutely huge when I was pregnant. A lot of it was baby, because he was a big baby, and a lot of it would have been water weight, but I can't excuse the fact that yeah, I did overindulge, and a lot of it probably was just me not caring about what I was eating and the fact I wasn't doing any exercise. And because he was such a big baby as well, I had a lot of backache, so I was quite sedentary during this pregnancy as well. So I was sat on my bum a lot of the time just eating, which isn't good. I didn't weigh myself like really close to when I was pregnant. So as far as I know, like when you first sort of register your pregnancy with the NHS, they ask what your weight is and your height so they can get like a rough BMI and stuff. And they can like watch your weight gain and things. And I hadn't weighed myself, I think since like the August before or something. I kind of given up on weighing myself and kind of just went on how I looked after that. So I think the last time I weighed myself I was 160 pounds, so I just guessed that was what I was at, because I never really overindulged in that period of my life sort of thing, because I was so stressed with work and stuff. I literally just fell into sort of autopilot. I never, like I said, I didn't overindulge at the weekends. It wasn't like takeaways all the time. I wasn't eating for two and stuff. So I just basically guessed I was around the 160 pound mark. By the end of the pregnancy, I weighed myself, I think, on my son's due date, and I was at 220 pounds. That's how much I weighed. I was huge. like literally just before he was born. It was insane. I was massive. Like like I said, he was a big baby, but that doesn't like excuse the fact I had got myself like over 60 pounds heavier than what I had been before, and I'm pretty sure 60 pounds or around that was the heaviest I've been as well before pregnancy. So yeah, that's a lot of weight gain. But yeah, luckily he was born happy and healthy. He was fine. But he was £9.7 when he was born. So if you think I was 220 pounds, he was not even 10 pounds of that. But within like the 2 weeks of him being born, I actually lost, like I said, he was 10 pounds, and then I lost another 30 pounds within the 2 weeks of him being born. So I was down to about 190, I think, within, like I said, his first month of being born. But because I was breastfeeding, I was getting a lot of cravings, and also like being exhausted, I was just craving sugar all the time. And obviously having a newborn baby, your life being turned upside down, you do not think about weight loss, or, well, I didn't anyway, weight loss, getting back into shape and different things like that. I had a big stomach because I just thought, because he was a really big baby. So I just thought I thought it was my uterus going back down, because that's what they always say, that it takes like 6 weeks at least or something, or a couple of months for your uterus to go back down to its normal size. So I did think that might be some of it and different things like that. But it was only, I had to basically self-diagnose myself with diastasis recti, and that was 6 months after my son had been born, because I hadn't been told about it in hospital or by doctors or anything. I'd not been like told about it. It was only I found out through a mum Facebook group that I was on, that I should get it looked into, and basically a doctor then confirmed for me that that was what I had. After having my son, I mean, I had, it's weird, through pregnancy and through like the first month, I guess, of motherhood, I was actually quite confident about my body. I was like, my body has done this amazing thing. It's still being amazing in terms of what it's doing to go back to normal. Therefore, I'm really proud of my body, and I'm lucky that I have this opportunity, that I'm actually able to produce a child and nurture that child, because obviously I was breastfeeding and different things like that. But then that confidence then just started getting eaten away at, as I was like, I'm not going back to normal. I'm not snapping back like you see like all these women do. And yeah, it's like that thing of like, I hated my body before. Like I said, I was always really self-conscious, but now I had a newfound appreciation for my old body, because I was like, I used to be able to do all these amazing things, and now I can't do them anymore. And I'm like so much bigger than I was before as well. Like I would look at pictures of myself from like literally 4 years before, like around the time of the wedding, and be like, oh, I was so slim back then. I used to think I was fat. And it was at that point I just felt like I was just really stuck in terms of what can I do even to really sort my situation out. Couldn't go to the gym because I wasn't working. Obviously I'd given up my job, wasn't able to get a new job with a new baby and stuff like that. So yeah, on a single income, couldn't go to the gym. Also had a newborn baby, so that was kind of out of the question. So the only way really was for diets, and at the time I was just like, well, if I can't exercise, then I don't really see the point. And as well with my stomach as well, I was kind of like, I don't really see the point in trying to lose weight if my stomach is just always going to be sticking out all the time. I need to get my stomach sorted first before I even think about trying to lose weight. Well, that was my mindset at the time. So it was only literally like January, I think, or February last year that I saw a post by a local mum who I'd met through my son's swimming classes, who was trying to kickstart like a local section of a new, I don't know if it's a new franchise, but I know they've been going a while, I think a couple of years at least, called This Mum Runs. And she was wanting to set up a local group for this franchise, and she was looking for the people to join. And at the time I was kind of like, well, I can't do the gym, and I'm really self-conscious about running on my own, rather, because I was used to running on treadmill, but I was really self-conscious about running in public sort of thing, especially when I'd never really been a serious runner. So I wasn't sure on my form, I wasn't sure of like my stamina and different things like that. So I was just really self-conscious about it. But her setting up this group, I was like, it's absolutely perfect for me, because I knew she was a runner anyway, so she'd be really good to help me set a pace. She'd be really good for helping me push myself, because that's what I felt like I needed. I needed that kick up the bum to not just get started, but also to keep going and to know how to set my pace and stuff like that. So I was like, yes, I'm going to join this group, and I want to support her in the group. We set that up literally just before lockdown started, but because I'd got into it literally from the first run, even though I was literally dying most of the way around and I was mostly walking it as well, I was like, this is my new thing. I can't do pole at the moment, but I'm gonna run. And yeah, I just absolutely fell in love with it. And again, it was that whole thing of, I found the motivation in it that I kind of missed with pole, in terms of, right, I'm gonna see if I can run sort of the 4K without stopping, or I'm going to see if I can beat my time for the best kilometre and different things like that. So I started setting myself goals, and that just kept me more and more motivated. Like I said, we had lockdown, so we couldn't do the groups anymore. But then by that point, it was more the determination to keep going than like sort of outweighed my self-consciousness of running in public. So I just kept running, and then it got to a point that, because they only met on Sundays, that running group, I was like, well, I'm going to run Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So I actually upped like more frequently how long I was running for. And like I said, it's what I do now, Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays for my run. I was at 4K for a long time, but now I'm actually starting to get into the 5K. This week I had a bit of a knock, and I was only able to do 4K, but I think that was because it was an extremely windy day, and I just couldn't face doing a 5K. But yes, so I'm slowly getting there. My progress is a lot slower than most people, but I do think that is because of with my stomach, it's a lot more difficult for me to actually push myself as much as I would like to. But anyway, yes, so that's like how I discovered running. So the only problem that I had when I first started running was the fact that I still had that bad relationship with food. So obviously I'd go on a run and I'd be like, well, I've just burned 500 calories, that means I can have 500 calories extra today. So then I'd have a cake or a biscuit and things like that. And that's at the point it got to May. So if you think I started running in February, it got to May just after my birthday, and I was at 192 pounds. I think when I started running, I was in the 180 mark, so I gained 10 pounds from running, and I was like, what? That's not possible. How can you gain weight when you're running? But it's possible. That's what happens if you eat your calorie deficit went from exercise. Learnt that the hard way. By that point, I was doing my YouTube channel, and I was looking at my vlogs, and I was just like, I can't believe how much weight I've gained. This is absolutely disgraceful. This is the heaviest I've been non-pregnancy. I need to do something about it. And I should point out as well at this time that me and my husband had discovered veganism. We'd tried veganuary in January, and we decided that we really enjoyed the food, and we were like, we're going to stick to it because it's good for the environment, it's good for our health. So yeah, we'll stick to it. So unfortunately, the only person that was losing weight on this new diet was my husband. I was either staying the same or gaining weight, but I was determined to stick to it because I was like, this is a good change. I don't really want to go back to eating meat and eating animal products, so I will stick to it as much as possible. I reached out to a vegan friend who gave me a really restrictive vegan diet. I think it was really restrictive because I am so fussy with my food. So where she was given like ideas for like salads and things, I was like, I don't eat salad. A vegan that doesn't eat salad. So it was very, very restrictive in what I could eat, but the whole thing was that you could lose 10 pounds within like 10 days or something. I think in the end I lost about 7 pounds in 10 days, but after, I think it's about 3 weeks, I think the diet is 3 weeks, but after that 3 weeks I'd managed to lose 20 pounds in that time. But in that time I was practically starving myself. I was getting cravings all the time. I was really grumpy. I was having like sugar dips, like really sort of bad sort of cravings and different things. So it was hard to get to that point, like really, really hard. So by the end of that diet, like I said, I got to 172 pounds, and I was like, well, I at least want to lose at least another 20 pounds. I'm halfway there, so I'll just keep going. But I just completely plateaued. No matter how much I did that diet, I did it for another 2-3 weeks, I think, and I just stayed at that weight, or I went up. It just fluctuated all the time, but I never went below 172 pounds, and that really hurt. That really, really hurt me. I was like, is this what the new weight I'm destined to be now? I'm just destined to be this weight now. I'm a mum. I have to be like fat and frumpy and not comfortable in my body. I have to hate my body now for the rest of my life, but that's just the way things are. And I just gave up at that point. I kept up with my running because in lockdown it was the only sort of free time I had, and it just kept what was left of my sanity going. So yeah, so I kept up with the running, but when it came to diets I was just like, what's the point anymore? I was like, I'll keep up with my fitness and my running, but what's the point in watching what I eat if I can't lose the weight that I want to lose? So yeah, so that's what it got to at that point. So now we come to January of this year, where I decided to really try and like kick my own arse in terms of getting my weight sorted and actually finally trying to figure out what's going on. I'd been looking around for a load of different diet ideas. Someone had recommended keto to me. Obviously this was at a time when I was vegan, so I was like, well, that's definitely out of the question. So the more realistic one for me was macros. So I started researching macros before Christmas, trying to see if there was any way I could do macros and be vegan. And I think there is a way for you to do macros and be vegan, but it just weren't right for me. It took quite a while, hence why it took till January to actually do it. It took a while for me to accept that I just don't think veganism is for me. I tried so much because the diets that I've always done through my life have always been high protein, low carb, and they've been the most effective with me. The one I did last year, yes, I lost 20 pounds, but I only got to a certain point, and it was a very, very high in carb diet. It was high in carb, low in fat, low in calories sort of diet. And like I said, that only got me so far. When I've done high in protein, low in carbs, it's the most weight I've lost in my life. So that's my chosen way to try it again, to lose weight. And like I said, it's just, you can't do that on a vegan diet, because when it comes to protein, if you look at things that are high in protein, most of the time they're high in carbs as well. So they're either even in terms of you'll have 15 grams of protein and 15 grams of carbs, or you'll have like 30 grams of carbs and 15 grams of protein in it. So people will still say it's high in protein, but it's even higher in carbs. So when you're trying to minimize the amount of carbs you're having, to me, it's just not possible unless you want to live on protein powder for the rest of your life. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I want this to be a lifestyle change. I don't want it to be a diet just to get the weight off. I want it to be something that I can actually stick to. So I worked out what my macros would be in terms of working out how much protein I need to eat each day. This is what macros basically is. You need to work out how much protein you can eat each day, how much fat you can have each day, and how much carbs you can have each day. I split it between, so it's 40% protein, 30% carbs, and 30% fat. And that's how I've worked mine out, because obviously you have higher protein in order to lose weight, but to keep your muscle, because obviously if you don't keep your protein up when you're losing weight, you will also lose muscle mass as well. So that's why it's good for you to keep high protein when you're on a diet. Not just because I find it easy for me to lose weight, it's also, yeah, it's good for you in the long run if you want to be not skinny, if you want to be sort of like lean, muscly sort of thing. So anyway, I worked it out, but I didn't, like I said, I basically had to accept come January that I would have to start eating meat again properly. I made the deal that I would eat as much as get as much of my protein in during the day as possible, so like breakfast and lunch, so then I could have a vegan dinner with my family. So that's the exception that I've made in terms of my dinners are still vegan, even if like I'm still having animal products in the morning and like for lunchtime, just so I can get that protein in. I'm also having a vegan protein shake as well, to make sure, because I need to have a lot of protein, like to hit my protein goal. So I started in January with the macros, and I have to say it's been so much easier than it was last year. In terms of like last year, like I said, I was having cravings, I was hungry all the time, I was having like highs and lows in sugar and different things like that, and I've not had that at all. I've enjoyed the food I'm eating, I'm enjoying cooking the food I'm eating, not had any cravings, I've not fancied any, like thought, oh, I really fancy having this, I've not had any of that, or I could just eat that whole bag of like biscuits, not had any of that at all. I've been like a little at a time sort of thing. Like last night I had a caramel cream egg sort of thing as a treat, and like stuff like that, and that was enough for me. It wasn't, I was like, I could sit there and eat the whole box, but I didn't want to. I was like, I'm just gonna have one and that will be me done, that's fine. So it's working out really well for me, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm seeing it as, again, a lifestyle change. I could easily live like this and be happy, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. So when I started macros, I was 186 pounds. Today I weighed myself and I'm 172 pounds. That's right, 172 pounds, the exact same weight that I got to when I plateaued last year. So you can imagine I'm actually quite nervous right now in terms of when I weigh myself next week, if this is actually going to be the weight that I'm stuck with for the rest of my life. Seriously, I'm scared. This is where my faith in macros is going to falter. So yeah, it's going to be quite a nerve-wracking week for me to try and actually see if I can lose any more weight, because I'm now at the lightest I've been post-pregnancy, and it was the exact same weight as I was last year. That's basically up to date now. So like I said, this is now going forward. This is a new series to, again, hold myself accountable, to share my struggles, my triumphs, learning new things, like we can learn new things together, I don't know. And obviously at some point I will have to change up my macros as well. As I learned today that you have to plateau, I think you have to stay at the same weight for 4 to 6 weeks before you need to change up your macros. So I have to wait and see if I'm going to lose any next week. So obviously tune in for the next video to see if I do, because that's basically what I'm going to do with the videos. I'm going to just talk about the exercises that I do. I'm going to talk about my running. I'm going to again do weigh-ins to see just how much weight I lose, just to talk about general fitness and weight loss. And again, if anyone has any questions or anything, I'll answer questions as well in the video about whether it's about diets like macros or running or whatever. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a fitness instructor, I'm not a physio, I'm literally just someone who's learned a lot in the last 2 years and still learning a lot as I go. Come along with me on this learning journey and see how we get on. And yeah, if I can help one person with weight loss or whatever, then that's great for me. I would be really happy with that. But for now, it's just, like I said, it's holding myself accountable to the fact my new goal. I've actually been quite hopeful with macros and the fact that I actually want to get down to 10 stone. That's my goal now, is to get down to 140 pounds. So I have 32 pounds to go. You've heard that here now. So 32 pounds to go. Let's see if we can get there. Probably not, but it's nice to be hopeful, isn't it? So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope there was some new sort of facts in there that were eye-opening for you, or you're just being nosy and just seeing what this was all about. I don't know, but either way, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, that really helps me out. You can also subscribe as well, that really helps me out as well. You can also follow me on social media to see my updates as well. That's all the links will be down below. And on that note, I'll say love you guys, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye.